Can you beat the Binding of Isaac with only quality 4 items? Well, of course you can. If you clicked on this video, chances are you just want to see a super broken run, and boy oh boy are you in luck. Since the leading question of this video is not really a question, I want to use the first installment of this new series to explain what we're doing here. Every item in the Binding of Isaac is grouped into a rarity tier, referred to as item quality. Item quality ranks how strong an item is, supposed to be, looking at you Satanic Bible. Item quality ranges from 0 to 4, with 0 being the weakest items in the game and 4 being the strongest. Higher quality items are also more rare in order to balance out their strength. This video is the first in the series where I attempted to beat the game with items of only the same quality. Every run I tried to go to the hardest boss possible for my current build, and as the challenge went on, the runs just got harder and harder. Oh, and because this challenge wasn't hard enough, I decided to completely ban the d6 from it even on the quality 4 run. Which actually brings me to the character selection for this. I chose Isaac for his rather balanced stats. Judas is probably the first character that comes to mind for this, but that would mean doing the later challenges with 1 heart, as the lower item pools don't have HP ups. I decided against Maggie for similar reasons, not wanting to be stuck on 0.8 speed for the entire run in the harder parts of this challenge. Everyone, really quickly before we get into the meat of this run, making this video took about 4 to 5 hours of my time, and it would really mean a lot to me if you could support the channel by leaving a like and a sub on it. If you enjoy the content, helping me out like this helps me make more videos like this one. So if you enjoyed the series, show your support by leaving a like and a sub. One thing I quickly realized when doing this is that this mod doesn't actually exclude story-based items like the broken shovel pieces, so we're gonna find those over the course of these runs, but it didn't really bother me personally. It just adds a different amount of flair to the runs in my opinion, since some of the story-based items are actually good and others are completely useless for this challenge. Our run started out pretty nice with the Twisted Pair, which gives me these 2 little buddies to my left and my right. They mimic my tier effects and fire tiers at 37.5% of my damage. Right off the bat, a really nice item with a 75% damage increase. Not the most spectacular, but really great synergies down the road. And speaking of synergies, right after this basement boss fight, I was presented with a Dr. Fetus, which is going to replace my tiers with bombs. And just like that, we made our way to basement 2 with 2 of the most powerful items in the game and high hopes to find a pyromaniac down the road. Going to the second floor this loaded also meant we were fairly safe, aside from me deciding to randomly catch some tiers with my face, but I do have a tendency to do that. Using my bombs, I would find the secret room pretty quickly, conveniently located next to a bunch of money. And that secret room fortunately also connected to a store. So we bomb our way into the store and we find... Cricket's Head is going to be multiplying our damage by 1.5 times for the entire rest of the run, making these bombs even more powerful and these early floors even more of a breeze. After a bit of searching around, we make our way to the next item room and find ourselves yet another damage multiplier. Crown of Light is going to double our damage for as long as we stay at full red health and have not taken damage in the current room. And with 13.28 damage under our belt, Gemini really didn't have a good time. Okay, pause here for a second, because this is the point where this run took a turn that I really did not expect. What you're looking at here is an item called Binge Eater. Binge Eater makes it so every item you find circles back and forth between the item and also a random health up from the game's health up pool. Picking the health up is going to give you plus 1 HP as normal, but it's also going to increase a random stat of yours depending on which HP up it is, as well as give you a temporary damage bonus. What I didn't anticipate was that this item was going to completely break this challenge. But first, you know, casual Polyphemus and Tech X Devil deal for laser tiers, as well as 4 times the amount of damage that we had so far. And last but certainly not least, we made our way to the next floor with our Binge Eater in tow. On Caves 1, we quickly get to admire the raw power of our Polyphemus laser bombs. And after a minimal amount of search, we make our way to the store where we find out that Binge Eater completely breaks this challenge. You see, when Binge Eater tries to cycle these items, it tries to cycle them into HP ups, which are typically quality 1 items. But because our settings prevent us from finding those, it just rerolls them into a random quality 4 item. Then the game notices there's no health up sitting on that pedestal and attempts to roll it again, which essentially turns Binge Eater here into a budget glitch crown. After a bit of thinking, I decided to go on with the run, even though this is not really what I had intended for it, but it is the quality 4 run, it was going to be hilarious either way, and this just added to the craziness of it. So after watching an actual basement's worth of items, I finally managed to pick up my Pyromaniac, which now also makes me not only immune to bombs, but also makes every explosion that hit me heal me for half a heart. Immortality is mine! The rest of the floor was rather unspectacular, even though up until this point the game decided to not give me a key, so I couldn't go to my item room. We run into the Fallen, defeat him in literally 3 seconds, largely because he takes forever to split, and we pick up a 2020, because you know what's better than firing 3 high damage bombs at once? Firing 6 high damage bombs at once. On Caves 2, we quickly apocalypse now our way to the item room, and luckily the room before also dropped me a key, so we can once again go into our item room. There, we swiftly managed to pick up a Godhead, which, fun fact, Godhead at its base is actually only a 0.5 damage up, so it's really not doing too much for our damage here, but it does give us those homing bombs. Unfortunately, the aura is lost on it on Dr. Fetus, but the homing is going to be really nice for future bosses. The rest of the floor ends up being pretty unspectacular, aside from our boss fight against the Frail, who dies pretty spectacularly fast. We're presented with yet another item choice, and we upgrade our Explodey laser bombs into Explodey laser fetuses. On Depths 1, we're faced with the harsh reality that even the most overpowered run is not safe from being broke and unable to go into stores. But aside from that, we make our way to the boss fight pretty quickly, and I pick up a magic mushroom because it's the first bonkers item I see, but then I quickly realize that that doesn't even give me a lot of damage because its multiplier does not stack with the multiplier of Cricket's head. Luckily, Krampus comes to my rescue and provides me with yet another 2020, which now lets me fire 9 shots instead of 6. And with that, I just decide to go to the next floor without looking for the item room, since we're so strong already, and we're gonna find a lot of items still by virtue of that binge eater. Also, I decided I really wanted to find a planetarium on this run, which is not actually any different from an item room with these settings, but we just wanted to find it for old time's sake here. I make my way to the next item room without much of a hassle, and I just jump on the next Godhead that I see out of habit. I just can't help myself, I'm sorry. It's the channel logo for a reason. We find another Godhead, which really only gives me minimal damage at this point and also lowers my tier rate. We find Mom, and, well, she doesn't really have a chance. I'm thinking about where to go for this run. Since I said I was going to try to go to the hardest possible boss every time, I decide at this point that we're going to be taking this run to Delirium for sure. I also go into the boss rush, and after a bit of deliberating and waiting, I finally decide to pick up a Sacred Heart for an even bigger damage multiplier. Turns out I did forget one of those. For some reason, I'm assuming that reason is called Binge Eater, the pedestals also glitch out and don't go away after I pick up the first item, so after clearing the fastest boss rush ever, I also get to pick another item. The boss rush is truly the shortest I've ever had at 56 seconds, and after we clear the entire boss rush, we find another Sacred Heart. Also, I end up picking up another Cricket's head for good measure, which in the end really only gives me 0.5 damage, but hey, damage is damage, right? At Womb 1, yet again, nothing really gives us trouble, and with item rooms and store being out of the picture now as well, we just make our way directly to the boss room and pick up yet another Pyromaniac, because honestly, at this point, I just don't know what I'm taking anymore. Oh right, Hemo is something that I haven't taken yet, so our fetuses can even split on impact. I also sit and watch these items circle back and forth for like half a minute before I decided it's not really worth it anymore and just leave to the next floor. On Womb 2, the game hits us with the good old Curse of the Full Clear, which really only takes a little more than a minute at this point. And we make our way to Mom's Heart and one-shot her with these fetuses of doom and destruction and death. We make our way to the Hush floor, and after like half a minute of not being able to decide what I want to pick up, we just go to the Hush boss fight, which once again is actually one of the easiest boss fights I've ever seen. You think the damage reducing properties of this guy's boss armor is gonna stop us? Think again. We just take random items and see what happens. I thought about that, but at the same time, I don't want to do that because Epic Fetus is just going to be overriding all of this, and I don't want that to happen. We make our way to the Void floor, and for a moment I think about whether I want to increase the amount of items I find here by just fighting every single one of the bosses before going to Delirium, or if I just want to go straight ahead and find Delirium right away to take out the big boy. Now, if you're asking yourself how I would be able to tell where Delirium can and can't be, I have a guide up for that on YouTube, so if you're interested, it's going to be linked in the video description, so check it out after you finish watching this video. Before I send this off with the Delirium fight, I want to take a moment to thank you all for watching to this point in the video. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. Let me know which of these quality challenges you're looking forward to the most. Let me know in the comments if you prefer the super overpowered type of run, or if you're looking forward to the more difficult runs in the challenge. Looking at you, Quality Zero. This challenge was a blast so far, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and a sub on the video, as it really supports the channel as well. And now enjoy this absolute banger of a Delirium fight, everyone. There's our boy. Oh, close one.